Hello, I'm Joseph Myles McAliney, and I am a political science major here at Bloomsburg University. And today I'm going to talk to you about America's role in the international drug trade. The reason that I chose this topic is because it's a topic that's interested me for a very long time. It affects not only the economy of America, but also the economies and the international relations of plenty of other states within the world. Before we look at America's role in the illegal drug market, we should specify what illegal drugs are. In America, drugs become illegal when they are scheduled under the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, signed into law by Richard Nixon. This act grants Congress the power to deem the acceptability of use of certain substances, and they usually do this by determining whether or not they have any medical value. Schedule 1 substances are legally deemed to be highly addictive and have no viable medical uses. The schedule system goes from 1 to 5, and 5 is the lowest. So, Schedule 5 substances are things that you could get at your local pharmacy. Uh, Other Schedule 1 substances include marijuana, LSD, MDMA, heroin, and other drugs that are deemed to have no medical use whatsoever, such as bath salts, which is actually a recent one. Um, the scheduling system is important in America because it determines the legality and whether or not they can be used to study, have medical studies done with the substances. Now that we know what illegal drugs are, we can look at where illegal drugs come from in America and how they come from different countries all around the world. In America, the majority of illegal drugs come from Mexico. Um, Mexico has a lot of ties in gangs here in America, and they have long established relations with people who have been selling drugs. Other countries that produce and traffic substances include Colombia, Peru, the Dominican Republic, Bolivia, and countries that don't typically have a great economy to begin with. While these countries produce the product, however, most of the money is made in America. Uh, an example of this is that in Colombia, the cost to produce 1 kilogram of cocaine is around 600 American dollars. And on the streets of America, wholesale, you can sell 1 kilo of cocaine for $25,000. This is a markup of nearly 4,000%. Um, this means that at the low range, um, people who produce this are relatively poor compared to the people who distribute it and sell it in America. By now, you're probably wondering how much America actually spends on drugs. A White House report from 2013 reported that from 2000 to 2010, drug users in the United States spent approximately $100 billion annually over the past decade on illicit drugs. This equates to $1 trillion over a decade spent solely on drugs. Most of the money is actually generated within the United States, as previously said in the slide before. Um, Most of the profit comes in America. This is due to the amount of risks that drug dealers have to take in America due to the heavy amount of uh, drug enforcement and law enforcement dedicating time and money to fight drugs. Something important to note in international drug trade is the recent trend of legalization of marijuana. 21 states in the United States have legalized some form of medical marijuana, and 8 states so far have legalized recreational marijuana. The effect that this has had on the international drug trade is that it has stopped international criminal organizations from exporting marijuana into the United States, um, simply because the risk isn't worth the reward. Um, Increased flow of more dangerous substances like cocaine and heroin have been on the rise, however. Um, this is important to note because it shows the effect that American drug policy has on um, international organizations' um, production of illicit substances. With the decline of criminal organizations' production and sale of marijuana just because of the legalization of marijuana in a handful of states in the United States, this could mean that the legalization of other substances within the United States could greatly influence the decline of criminal organizations throughout the world. With the amount of money spent on drugs in America, legalization would be able to accumulate massive amounts of tax dollars as well and create legal channels that would force criminal organizations outside of the U.S. to face a decline in business, which could ultimately um, end those organizations altogether. Seeing as drugs are one of the most profitable in international criminal organizations, a legalization and regulation effort in America could severely influence criminal organizations around the world. So, in conclusion, with the largest demand for illicit substances in the world, the United States has a vital role in a largely underground economy. The majority of illicit substances comes from Mexico, and they're supplied by places such as Bolivia, Peru, and Colombia. Um, with the recent push to legalize marijuana in the United States, it's seriously affected the types and amounts of drugs coming through the Mexican border. And finally, legalization, while very difficult to implement, could put a serious dent in organized crime throughout the world. I just wanted to say thank you for listening. Um, this has been America's Role in the International Drug Trade by Joseph Myles McAliney. Thank you.